By the time you're watching this video, it's already too late. And for those of you who are unaware of what's happening, the DC Circulator has just shut down. The District Department of Transportation voted to eliminate the DC Circulator and began winding down service on October 1st, with the last scheduled bus expected to run on December 31st. And on my last trip to DC for 2024, I wanted to see if I could ride as many of the circulator routes as I possibly could. But with limited time as well as limited service, it was definitely a big challenge to ride all of them. But I won't get the opportunity to ride these buses ever again, so it's worth a shot. Starting from Union Station, I wanted to ride a line that I've actually never been on before, the Orange Line. The Orange Circulator is the only one that crosses the Anacostia River. And while I wasn't planning to ride this across the river, I did want to take this off my list. Luckily, I didn't have to search too hard as the bus was already sitting outside of the station, but I had to wait a very long time before that bus actually left. During the wind down period, service is scheduled every 20 minutes. However, the wait was more like every 30 to 40 minutes before I would see a bus leave. I would attribute this to a driver shortage, but I honestly can't blame them. For the people that work at the DC Circulator, this is a time of great uncertainty, but the only thing that's certain to them is the fact that their positions are being eliminated. So as soon as I saw signs of life, I ran over there and rode my first bus of the day. Getting off the bus at the Eastern Market Station, I say goodbye to the Orange Line. For people affected by the service cut, your best alternatives are WMATA's 90, 92, and W6 lines, as those three buses cover the majority of service provided by the Orange Circulator. But if you're trying to go to Union Station, you will either have to transfer to another bus or the Metro. The Blue Line connects the Eastern Market with L'Enfant Plaza by taking a massive detour through M Street. While this line is short, its main purpose is to connect new development in the Navy Yard and the waterfront to nearby WMATA stations. These new stations aren't really well connected by WMATA services, so this bus is crucial to connecting these neighborhoods to public transit. But while I wait for my last ride on the Blue Line, if there's one thing that's uncertain, is whether or not my bus will show up anytime soon. Unlike at Union Station where there was a bus waiting for me, here there's nothing. And with no way to track the bus, I have no clue how long I might have to wait for the next bus. And after 40 long minutes, a bus finally shows up. And then it keeps going the other way. And after I thought all hope was lost, the bus turns around and comes back to pick up all the passengers. right as I was getting off the bus, I noticed something pretty interesting. Apparently, there's a shuttle that runs from L'Enfant Plaza to The Wharf, a new development in the waterfront neighborhood, and is a good alternative for the circulator that's being eliminated here. While it doesn't make up for the loss of the entire route, it does provide a very important connection in what otherwise is a transit desert. And me being the transit nerd that I am, I have to ride this shuttle. But since I just missed the bus, I think it's a good time to make a pit stop for lunch. And while it's time to say goodbye to the blue circulator, I do have to say there actually are a decent amount of alternatives for this route, which makes me happy to know that you're at least covered to some degree if you normally use this route. But now it's time to move on to the next route, the green circulator. This one's also a very important circulator to hit because not only have I never been on this one, I've also never seen it before. This line serves a lot more residential parts of DC, hence why I've never really had a need to go there before. And considering it took me the whole morning just to get the first 2 lines done, I feel like it's very important I make my way over there as soon as possible.
The yellow line train to Alfred Square, 7th Street, section platform, into the center of the car. The next stop is now.
What genuinely surprised me was despite the 40-minute wait, there were still many people riding that bus. But it's pretty easy to understand why, as it's the only bus that operates between Woodley Park and Columbia Heights. While there are many other bus lines that go through this area, they would also require a transfer at Adams Morgan in order to get from east to west. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the northern part of the line has many alternatives that people could utilize. And as I'm getting close to the end of daylight hours, it's time for me to head back to Union Station to ride the final 2 lines. And yeah, you heard me right. Even though there's 3 more lines to go, I'm only riding 2 more. And that's because the line I wanted to ride, the Rosslyn DuPont Circulator, has already been eliminated. This line was actually eliminated back in October with the announcement of the service wind down, and I was caught off guard by that one, so I wasn't able to get to DC in order to ride it one last time. To help accommodate displaced customers, WMATA has actually increased service on the 38B, which parallels most of the route. And moving on to our penultimate circulator, the Yellow Line, which connects Georgetown to Union Station. What's important about this circulator is the fact that it serves Georgetown, which is a massive neighborhood not served by the Metro. This, along with the previous route, were crucial in connecting passengers from the Metro to Georgetown, as Georgetown does not have a Metro station. What I wasn't expecting though was the fact that this would be the greatest challenge of the day. Going above the hustle and bustle of Union Station lies the Union Station bus terminal. Of the 3 circulator lines that serve Union Station, only the yellow circulator stops at the bus terminal. As far as why it's only this route, I'm not actually sure, but it is a nicer waiting spot than out on the street. This bus terminal is home to many different bus operators, all scattered throughout the terminal. You'll find many obscure bus operators that terminate here. And upon arriving the normal loading bay for the DC Circulator, I find that the signs are missing. And honestly, I wasn't sure if the bus even ran here anymore. But after waiting nearly half an hour, I see a little red bus making its way into the terminal. And then I watched the bus pull into the other side of the terminal. And the driver informed me that they were going on their lunch break. So while I waited for the driver to have their lunch break, I decided to take a quick ride on the DC streetcar. It's a short line just under 2.5 miles and has plans to extend further down in the future. But as of right now, this feels like an underloved stepchild of the circulator, and its future expansions have been pushed back and delayed constantly, which really makes me worried because this might be next on the chopping block. If you're a transit advocate in the DMV area, I would highly suggest keeping an eye on this line, because without the extension to Benning Road Station, the long-term viability of this line remains in jeopardy. And upon arriving back to Union Station, another bus has turned up. And after almost 90 minutes, I'm finally able to get on a bus. I only got to ride one stop, but after such a long wait, I didn't have time because I had to get one last line. But before we focus on the last line, let's focus on the alternatives for this one. Those displaced by this service elimination can utilize the 31, the 33, which is now extended to Union Station, or the 38B. And lastly, I ride the line that I'm most devastated about losing, the red circulator. It was the only public transit route dedicated to serving the National Mall. And it's a line that I've used many times in the past to show friends and family around the city. And unlike the other routes, this is the only one where there's no real alternative for passengers who utilize this route in the past. I really hope that either the Smithsonian or the National Park Service can come up with their own alternative shuttle. However, there's nothing in the works as of now. The Red Line has always been good to me, and even today, with all the abysmal service I've experienced on the other circulator routes, I only waited 5 minutes for this bus. And for one final time, I boarded my last ever circulator. Alright, so I just got off the Circulator for the last time ever, and had to say I'm fairly disappointed. I was chatting with the driver, and she was an amazing lady, and she was talking about the process of all the drivers getting new jobs. It hasn't been really clean or pretty with them, and I wish them all the best. I really do. Those are some amazing people that were driving the buses today, and it's really, really sad to see that service is now gone. I won't be back before the end of the year, so I won't be able to ride on the last day of service. And for this route right here, my favorite route, the National Mall, there is nothing to replace it. Meaning there is no bus that goes into the park. And in order to do that, you might be walking half an hour to get to the Jefferson Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, all of those destinations. For the most part, the DC Circulator, you'll be missed. But in the comments, I want to know, have you been on the DC Circulator? If so, what do you think about the service, and how do you feel about it going away? If there's anyone from the DC Circulator watching this video, I just want you to know that there is no paycheck that justifies the sacrifices you made for your city. And I want to thank everyone for 19 years of incredible service. The Circulator has been a lifeline for many of my DC trips, and DC will no longer be the same without you. And to all the hardworking people who ran the Circulator, I just want you to know that you had a huge impact on me and thousands of other people. And despite this disappointment, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Also, for everyone else that's still here at this point, thanks for watching.